Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying-Model-Behaviour, the Earth's mightiest video podcast. So take off your pants, crack a beer, and let's talk about the nerdy news that you need to know about. It's the only news that matters. It's good news. And as you know, September is still Patreon pledge month, so every day I'm doing my best to put a brand new video up on the Patreon. Yesterday it was the Mech Heat Boys Leonardo Ninja Turtle review, a 9.5 out of 10. Oh my goodness, my current action figure of the year. Is it going to get topped? Well, it might possibly. There are some strong contenders. So if you want to see that review, you can go over to the Patreon or you can become a channel member. All of the little thank you videos are available on both of those. Right, enough about that because we got a lot to talk about. The first subject being a sneaky little model behavior exclusive. Oh yeah, Loose Collector, who I recently featured on this show with the beautiful Mr. Hyde figure. They've been working hard. They've been working diligently on making what looks to be an insane werewolf figure. And he's been putting out a few little preview pictures here and there. You can see a very amusing one here with the McFarlane Man-Bat, where he's showing kind of what is going to be the kind of scale of this figure. And you can see it's huge. It's a gigantic... Anything that dwarves a McFarlane Mega figure, that's going to be pretty big. Okay, it doesn't dwarf it, but it stacks up pretty high. And also, it's great to see next to Veteran William. You can see in this picture, Veteran William is a beast. Literally. And there you go. He's one that is dwarfed by this guy. But now, we got the model behavior exclusive. Thank you so much, Loose Collector, for sending this my way. Biggity bam. Take a little look at this. Hoi! There you go. It is the Loose Collector werewolf next to Mr. Hyde, and this really gives you an idea as to the scale of this guy. If I'm going to reach back here, look at the size. Oh! Look at the size of Mr. Hyde, and then think about this werewolf in this kind of scale and proportion. You're going to have to reinforce your shelves, folks, because this is going to weigh a ton, but my goodness. Tons of fun is the word for it. I'm so excited to see this guy. I was quite happy originally to kind of, admire the work that Loose Collector was doing and sort of like let it pass me by. I didn't need to dip my toe in this. It's another rabbit hole that I didn't think I was going to get obsessed with. And then, friend of the show, David, sent me the Mr. Hyde figure, and now I need all of them. I need everything. Loose Collector, I need everything that you're doing because this thing... it's insane. And if I'm going to get a giant chunky werewolf, then, oh my goodness, this looks just like, is it Saberwolf from Darkstalkers? I keep forgetting the different names. I was obsessed with Darkstalkers and all the 2D Capcom fighters when I was a kid. And yet, the name escapes me. I think it's Saberwolf, but that feels very Killer Instinct. Regardless, this dude looks amazing. I cannot wait to see the painted version. I cannot wait to put my pre-order in. Because, congratulations, Loose Collector. Yeah, you got me with this one. This next story is kind of two stories in one, because we are getting a remastered version of the 16-bit 90s Gargoyles game. Ah, my goodness. This is going to be a nostalgia bomb. This is going to be a gigantic... just a big bang of 90s Mega Drive or Genesis nostalgia. Or was it Super Nintendo? Or was it both? Regardless, it's coming to most consoles and it's going to look very pretty. Not like super deluxe animation. You can see that this isn't one of the most high-end kind of 2D recreations, but it still looks very pretty. And I love the fact that you can swap between the original graphics and the updated one. That's kind of sweet. And Limited Run Games are doing a full-blown collector's set that you can get. $175. So it's a lot of money. But it does have the 7-inch Goliath cel-shaded action figure in there. It's got enamel pins and steel books, VHS-style collections, and there's a lot of stuff in there. But also, it's very expensive. But if you're a hardcore, super in-there Gargoyles fan, I could appreciate that. I would spend silly money on things that I'm obsessed with as well. And if you've got a special place in your heart for Gargoyles, then this might be the one for you. So September 8th to October 22nd is when you can pre-order this. And I do love the retro game cartridges. There's a double-sided poster as well. Again, it's hard for me to go, this is definitely worth $175. But you know what? It is. if it's worth it to you. That's always the thing. I'm never going to look at something and go like, well, that's not worth that. Well, it is to someone, so yeah, it's fair enough. But I'm looking forward to playing the game and also just, seeing another pretty coloured Gargoyles figure. At first I thought, oh, it's the NECA one. No, of course it's not. This is Limited Run Games doing their own Goliath, and yeah, maybe it's not quite that sort of NECA level of zhuzh, because I mean, they really did knock it out of the park. But still, the Limited Run Games, they look very nice actually. That's a good looking Gargoyles figure. It's a very handsome set. Hasbro have shown full reveals of their Christmas Star Wars figures for 2023, and look, it was almost a running joke on this channel how furious I was at how crap my Christmas Mandalorian was. I was more annoyed at myself for spending the money on it when I could see in the box what it was, and there's still a little part of my brain was going, no, Dave, you do need it. And honestly, I regretted buying it. But, it's kind of kitsch and what the heck, I have him now. And now they've got a whole bunch of other ones, but they're $28. I mean, it's a lot of money for a kitsch kind of silly repaint. But you know what? There is definitely a market there for it because, my goodness, they keep on making more of them. And I gotta say, the Nutcracker Stormtrooper, he is kind of fun. I do like it. If I ever saw these in sort of a clearance section, if these were $10 each, oh my goodness, I would buy all of them and just have my full-on Star Wars nativity set Christmas decorations display. That would be so much fun. But for $30, that's a tough sell. That's a real tough sell. Nonetheless, though, if you just cannot help yourself, if you're a huge Star Wars fan and you just want to get your Christmas on, then this is the way to do it. But my goodness, no, I'm still going to be ruining the day. I bought that Boba Fett or that Mandalorian, whatever he's based on. I think he was based on the Attack of the Clones Jango Fett, which was such an old figure. And Doofus here paid £35 for him. I was at Comic-Con. I got caught up in the moment. Lesson learned. Speaking of expensive Hasbro Star Wars repacks, we've got Ahsoka and the Assassin Droid carbonized versions going up for pre-order now. This 2-pack is going to be almost $60, which again, it's dang these prices. I got to stop with it because you got to be like, yeah, Dave, we know, we can see them. You're not telling us any new information, but sometimes I feel like I need to vocalize it just in case, because otherwise I'll talk about these and then I'll get a whole bunch of comments being like, oh, how can you not talk about how ridiculously overpriced they are? And I'm like, I thought you guys already just assumed that. But nonetheless, they're here. It's a nice looking set, and I kind of like the carbonized versions with that weird, shiny sort of sheen to them. I don't know, it kind of tickles me, but at the same time, just no. It's essentially $30 a piece for two sort of pre-existing action figures. Doesn't really do it for me. Nonetheless, though, if it does it for you, if the Ahsoka show is doing it for you, let me know, because I've only watched the first episode and I was like, that's not really gripping me, but I've heard that it gets better, and if it does, I might have to dive back in there. And if you want some glossy carbonized action figures, well, you can get in here with these two. It's just a day of repaints, and maybe that's because the Haslab is on the horizon and all the companies are going, you know what, maybe we should just hold back our bigger releases. Let that dominate the news cycle for a week, then we'll get back to it. But you know what, of all the repaints, I actually love this McFarlane Batman of Zur-En-Arrh Entertainment Earth exclusive. Why would I love this? Well, just look at him. He's so ridiculous looking with the bright colors. It just kind of tickles me. And also, for $30, you're getting quite a nice looking package here. See, I actually do own the original version of this figure. Even though I've never read any Zur-En-Arrh Batman stories, I just love the ridiculous costume. I love that he's so brightly colored. He's got a board with nails in it as his weapon. It's just bonkers. And now you got this whole lighting rig here that he comes with. And so this set for $30 in a really nice cardboard display sort of box with working LED lights, and I assume that these are blacklight type lights that will actually show off the colors. Like, it's kind of cool. I mean, I don't need it, I won't get it, but looking at the artwork on the box, the whole package, if you will, it's it's kind of cool. If you're gonna just repaint figures in UV colors, then you might as well throw in the lights to make them look decent. Because also you can use this light stand to kind of show off any figure, really. So it's definitely not a need to have, but it certainly looks like a nice to have. And honestly, yeah, I kind of dig this. 3-0 have shown full reveal images of their 1/12 scale Bloodshot character. And hey, looks decent. I have no real knowledge of Bloodshot. I know that there was a movie with Vin Diesel that came out a couple of years ago and quickly disappeared from the public consciousness, but he's more famously known for his Valiant Comics appearances. And 3-0, they're the same company that make my beloved MDLX, that's the name, Optimus Prime. So I know that they do make nice stuff. I've not had any of their more human characters in hand, but looking at the pictures, they look very nice. But then again, the company's not going to put out pictures that look like garbage. They're in the business of selling things. Nonetheless, though, even though they're very dark and dimly lit, so you can't get a real good look at the character, but nonetheless, they look nice. I can see one thing I always harken back to now with, following Marvel Legends. I can see like, ooh, pinless joints, all that kind of thing. I mean, it needs to be more high-end. It's $70. That's a lot of money. But he's got some nice little cloth goods in there as well, a whole bunch of accessories. So if you're a Valiant Bloodshot fan, well, first of all, let me know. What's the appeal of the character? I'd like to know if he has like a very big fan base and following, because to me, he's always been one of those tertiary characters that I'm aware that they exist, but I've never known of like a real big following behind him. But if you are part of that following, then this figure might be for you. So yeah, let me know what you think of this guy. It'll still give you a decent amount of bang for your buck, and that's just what I've been told. Because looking at these pictures, I'm like, nah, man, look at that Ryu. That looks so much better. I think for me, it's the shading, the skin shading. I feel the Jada toys look so plain and plastic in their skin tones, whereas these feel more alive. But again, I've had neither of these in hand, so I'm going on what you folks are telling me. I think I probably won't dive into Jada. If I see these guys in store, I would be tempted. I'd be very tempted to pick them up, especially if it means that they might start doing some more of them. But without any new actual changes to the figures besides the paint job itself, maybe they do show their age. I don't know. I love the look of them, but I'm not entirely convinced from what folks have told me. So these are going to be about $60 each, and they're going to be available around about February of next year. So I'm intrigued. Color me intrigued. I might have to roll the dice on them. I don't know. It'd be fun to have the Jada ones to compare them to, but we'll see. What did I say about this being a repaint heavy day? NECA are doing a New York Comic Con exclusive glow-in-the-dark Phantom of the Opera. So this is the same Phantom of the Opera that you've seen before, but now his ghostly visage glows in the dark, and it's fine. It's a New York Comic Con exclusive, so it's nothing to get too kind of up in arms about. I always just found this version of the Phantom funny because he doesn't come with the Phantom of the Opera mask, which I guess I appreciate is in this iteration, this classic Universal Monsters version of the Phantom, like he doesn't actually wear that mask that we associate him with. So I'm sure it's perfectly accurate. It just seems odd. It's so iconic that having a Phantom without it is like, oh, feels kind of like Jason Voorhees without the hockey mask. Nonetheless, though, it's a cool looking Universal monster. If you like your glow in the dark gimmicks, then get yourself down to New York Comic Con. McFarlane have shown full reveal images of their 3 Batman statues, 1/10 scale. They're going to be $125 for Batman and Harley Quinn, and $140 for Catwoman. Why is Catwoman more expensive? Honestly, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Maybe they just thought she's going to be in higher demand and people will pay an extra couple of bucks for her. Besides that, I really don't know. I mean, it looks like a nice figure. And at 1/10 scale, I mean, she's going to be pretty big. So it's actually a reasonable price for a resin statue. I mean, I paid similar, I think, for my Kotobukiya Transformers. And to be honest, I really love them. So these, being the darker muted Batman colors, they're not really going to pop off the shelf so much. And oh my goodness, looking at that Batman cape, I would be terrified of breaking that. Like if that falls off the shelf, then that's gone. You're not saving that. But then again, the rule for that is just don't be a clumsy doofus like I am. So yeah, they look good. Very stylized on very specific artwork. The Batman one, is it Greg Capullo? I think so. I'm so terrible with names of artists and creators. I know that the Catwoman is based off of J. Scott Campbell. And yeah, she looks great. They all look decent. So if you like your kind of darker, moodier Batman statues, well, there you go. McFarlane have you covered. And a big congratulations to Star Wars fans, and a bigger congratulations to Hasbro, because the Haslab Ghost has finished its funding and all tiers have been unlocked. So well done, gang. If you've been looking forward to this, you're going to get the most bang for your buck. You love to see it. I'm sure Hasbro's accountants love to see it, but I'm glad that the people who wanted to buy into this are getting everything that their money is going to provide for them. That's really cool, and hopefully it's a good sign for tonight's Marvel Legends Haslab. I'm a little bit giddy because I know it's going to be Giant Man, but in what form? I don't know, but I want to find out. So yeah, look, Hasbro, you're on a roll. Let's just keep it going, because this Ghost, you gotta say, it was an unbridled success. Let's see if Marvel Legends can follow that up. Boss Fight Studios are doing MLW figures, Major League Wrestling. This is a wrestling promotion that even I don't follow that closely. It's no knock on them or anything, but you know, there's only so many hours in the day, and with AEW putting out about 6 to 7 hours of original content every single week, it gets a little difficult to keep up with everything, but I've always heard good stuff about the talent on display at MLW. I recognize one of the fellas here, Lince Dorado, but besides that, yeah, it gets a little bit spotty. But it's nice to see more, I don't want to say independent, because MLW, you know, they have contracts, and they're maybe the 4th biggest group in the US, but then again, like after the first 3, I think it's fair to say that there's quite a drop-off after that. Nonetheless, though, it's just great to see more pro wrestlers outside of the mainstream getting the action figure treatment, getting some mainstream shine. So with that in mind, these are pretty cool. $22.99 available for pre-order over at Big Bad Toy Store. Go check them out. You know, there are very few movies that can get me to crack and show a little bit of human emotion and maybe even get a little bit teary-eyed, but the Iron Giant, whew, yep, that'll do it. That'll do it. And Super 7 are doing an 11-inch Iron Giant figure. Looks very deluxe, and it should be, because it's going to be $85, so it ain't cheap. But at the same time, it's real pretty. I love the fact that he comes with Hogarth as well on his shoulder. You've got the chest panel and all the different pieces you can take off to reveal the inner workings. But of course, you're going to want to have classic Iron Giant on display, and genuinely, I know it's become such a model behavior cliche. I always see these Super 7 figures and I'm like, this might be my first Super 7 figure, but genuinely, this might be my first Super 7 figure, because I'm just a big old softie at heart, and I love the Iron Giant, and this as a full-on package, it looks really pretty. It looks really pretty. TNI News have some pictures of the new G.I. Joe Cobra Shadow Trooper figure. As I was trying to talk, my brain was trying to access the names of all the things, and you could see literally my brain was buffering there. Nonetheless, though, these are just some little sneaky pictures, but it's another gorgeous looking G.I. Joe figure. Another reason why I got out of the G.I. Joe line, which sounds ridiculous, that I stopped collecting them because they're too good, but genuinely that was the case, because I just wanted all of them. And when I had a G.I. Joe collection and there were more figures that I didn't have but I knew were so good, I'd look at it and go like, oh man, it's missing this guy, it's missing that guy. And then the problem with so many of the cool figures being army builder type figures, just having one wasn't enough. The day that I bought 3 bats was the day I knew that it was time to walk away. And this guy is another one of those reasons, because look at that translucent looking badass mask. What a cool hunter type character. Again, the problem, the difficulty with me for so many of these is that I don't just want to keep them in the G.I. Joe line. I want to get guys like this to be like random Spider-Man villains or something, or Kraven henchmen. Oh my goodness. This guy looks totally like a Kraven the Hunter henchman. I could imagine him popping up in the Sony Spider-Man 2 game. Nonetheless, though, this is just a little sneaky peek. No proper reveal images yet, but you know, as soon as they're out there, I'm going to get my grubby little hands on them. And speaking of G.I. Joe, it's never too early to get festive, and Trick or Treat Studios are doing G.I. Joe Christmas ornaments. A Cobra Commander and a Snake Eyes, and these, they look so silly. And because of that, I kind of love them. You know me. Kitsch, camp, ridiculous. Yeah, I got a lot of time for that. So if you want to have some G.I. Joe representation hanging from your Christmas tree, then this is definitely going to be the way to go. When I first heard like Christmas decorations, I was hoping they were just like perfectly spherical bauble versions of the characters. That would have tickled me, but having these busts, yeah, that works as well. So these are going to be $20 each and available from trickortreatstudios.com. I had to check my cheat sheet there. But yeah, it's never too early to start getting your Christmas on. Over on the Model Behaviour Facebook group, Eric Fullen, thank you, brother. You've been keeping me up to date with a whole bunch of news. The first one that I want to talk about is Ramen Toys. They've been working on a sewer playset. There has recently been a NECA reveal of a Ninja Turtles playset, and people are like, oh, geez, that's a lot of money. And then Ramen Toys came out with a render and said, well, if you want a random sewer diorama, how about this for $180? And what they wanted to clear up with a new post and a statement was that they're going to be doing a modular sewer set, and that the pictures you can see here are an example of how the modular set could be put together. It's not an example of what $180 will get you, which would be just like one of the sets. This is like two combined with the street level. Apparently they're going to be prototyping and putting together a physical model within the next 2 weeks. So once they've got that all set and sorted, then they're going to do another presentation so that you can see how the modularity of the whole thing works. Again, it's an exciting endeavor, and it does look like a cheaper alternative to the mainstream manufacturers. Is it going to be something that they actually go forward with? I don't know. It's going to depend on what the interest is. But certainly just looking at these renders, it does look pretty awesome. And if they do just like a generic sewer, not overly animated or anything, then my goodness, I see this, I think Spider-Man, Lizard, or Morlocks, all kinds of cool stuff. I love me my dioramas. If we can get something like this at a reasonable price, I would probably be first in line for it. MX Studios are giving us a stunning looking Witchblade statue, and really, I mean, to be honest, I just have to kind of let these pictures speak for themselves, don't I? In fact, if anything, when I'm showing you these, you're going to be like, shut up, Dave, your voice is ruining this. Let me just enjoy what you're showing me on the screen here. Witchblade was a staple of the 90s, especially like the mid to late 90s. Cheesecake comics were just the absolute in thing. 90s were the era of excess, and then the only thing that wasn't excessive was the clothing. And Witchblade was kind of the front runner, the poster child of that. If Lara Croft ruled the TNA video game landscape, Witchblade absolutely owned the comic books. In fact, I'm pretty sure that there were some crossover episodes or issues with Lara Croft and Witchblade. I'm sure that was a thing. I'll Google it afterwards just to check. Nonetheless, though, this statue looks incredible, and it should do, because it's going to retail for about $1,200. But it's a big statue with a lot of big proportions to it. My goodness. But if you want to have something to really just, tie your whole bachelor pad together, this is probably the thing to go for. Speaking of busty statues, come on, that was a good link. We have a Diamond Select bust of the last Ronin here. This one, $200, and it's a 1/2 scale, basically. So it's going to be big. He's going to be a big chunky boy, but, not full size. Half the size of full size. That's what half scale means, Dave. Gosh, I belabor points sometimes, don't I? I'm so sorry about that, but where else are you going to get your news from? Websites and other YouTubers? Well, yeah, I guess you would do. Please don't do that. I'll try and be better. I swear I will. It's not easy being me. Saint Cloth Myth Pegasus. That's the name of this thing. I just had to get the words out my mouth hole while I could still remember them, because I don't want to check notes while doing these things. I hate it when I watch my videos back and I'm glancing down at the screen. So this is from Tamashi Nations, going to be available February of next year, and I have no idea what this is based on. But if you do, and you're fond of it, then you're getting an action figure for it. And yeah, I mean, it looks like it's one of a set, 20th anniversary. There you go. That's all I can tell you. Can you tell me more, please? Because I'm living in the land of anime and all this stuff, and I'm sure that I'm going to see these guys on shelves, and still I'll have no idea who they are or what they do. But they come with a giant metallic horse, and that's it. Is this 80s? This looks like 80s anime to me. I feel like it is. Guys, help me out here. And folks, that does it for action figures for today, but that doesn't do it for good news. If you want to see all of my news reporting on reporting, that's dressing it up like a whore's drawers, isn't it? If you want to see me regurgitating things that I found on the internet, then you can do over at patreon.com, where this episode is going to continue with pro wrestling, comic books, video games, movies, and all other points in between. But if you're watching here on YouTube, then guys, thank you so much. If you want to hit that like button, I'd really appreciate it. And join me later on today, where we're going to be live streaming the Hasbro Pulse Marvel Legends Haslab reveal. The excitement is genuinely palpable. I cannot wait to see what this is going to be. So gang, thank you so much for watching. Join the Patreon if you want to, but until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Cup of coffee.